Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hello. Yeah, that's my job. Huh? Thank you. Happy Christmas to you too. Piss. Oh, for sure. I don't know what could be more jolly than piss. Not a golden shower. Oh. No, no, no. How'd they do it? What do I usually get? Oh, yeah. It is very bold. Yeah. They live without fear. Oh, I looked away and walked off the bridge. I wasn't paying attention. It's a good thing we weren't fighting. Uh-oh. Actually, speaking of, let me check that Discord's working. You mother trucker, dude. That hurt like a butt cheek on a stick. Bungee. Just stuck a whole ass bungee on a stick. A bungee. Hey, Woodcore. We are actually just playing with us. This is not a game where you guys can join. How does that work? Mm. I mean, you're the one doing bed defense, so go ahead if you want to. Hey, hey, stay away, motherfucker. Little piss boy. Just the defense itself. Just all your hard work. Nice. Yeah, you got it, Elias. Give him a little tickle. Just a little prostate tickle. Give him a little prostate tickle. It's okay. You don't need to lie. I. You didn't see it. You didn't. No, it didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. Exactly. You did not sodded it. No, 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 no. Damn. You did no such thing. I don't remember him saying anything that warrants a yes, daddy. I mean, agree to disagree, I guess. Distractions. Yeah. You motherfuckers, get your stupid yellow piss bridge out of here. This is my area. I don't want it tainted. But you and your bull- Hey, no, hey. Anyone want arrows? Is it you? I'm just collecting his arrows. Thanks, man. I like this little game we're playing. Keep doing it. I'm talking to Yellow. There's a guy at Yellow base shooting at me. Ow. That's the second time he's hit me. Ow. Okay, I gotta come back. He's hurting me. The game's turned dangerous. Well, if anyone wants arrows, there's 10 of them. Securely stolen. They're sucking ass horribly. It was probably Yellow who literally just fell. Oh no. Motherfucker. Oh! Oh! There I go. She kicked the shit out of me. What? Oh my god! It's the red motherfucker that knocked me off! Aw, this bitch. Get out of here. Ow. Ah! There's nothing there anymore. I can fix it. I know I can fix it. Oh no. Rippy dippy, dude.
With a little kid, and the little kid is like at the doctor being like, fix him.
Fix him, please.
He's dead, kiddo.
Yeah. Nothing I can do.
Kid, it's just a puddle.
Hi.
Queen! Do you want to do 4x4?
I ended
We are a 4x4.
Yeah, I ended stream and then passed out and then took an hour nap.
Wood.
Are you awake?
I need to be invited to a party. Yeah, I need to be invited to a party.
I just invited you.
Cool's trying to ground.
If Cool is grounding you, you need to respect the word of law. I don't tolerate rule breakers in here.
Oh, is that so, Scarlet?
Only I'm allowed to break the rules.
Had to amend that a little bit.
Only I can. Okay, I'll do better this time, guys. I promise, I'll do better. What is the benefit of hardened clay? Asking honestly.
You need a pickaxe to break it.
But you need that for endstone, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So then, what's the... There's not a big difference.
Is the price different? It might be a price thing.
Everyone is uniting to Brad against Cool Sneaker for you, Queen. Still says it's useless.
Hell yeah.
Not
So
cool
was,
Steve will know
so
how I
was
feel.
watching me play Bloons earlier.
How was
Oh.
your balloons? I've kind of worn
Not
out a
as
little
much
bit.
fun as like. I've never really had big interest in tower defense.
Yeah. I mean, I just like balloons. Like, I don't think I've even ever played another tower defense game.
Yeah, I don't think I have
At all.
either.
Just balloons.
I didn't get warped into the game.
Balloons and only balloons.
We're in a 3x3. You joined right as we were starting a game.
Oh, okay.
So
Fuck
it says
with my
he's
cosmetic.
just parkour for like 3 minutes. Knowing me, I've missed a spot in the bed defense, and someone will come destroy it when I'm not looking.
It's not. Yeah, it's not the fact that you missed a spot. It's just the fact that you're not looking where they're coming from.
That's not my job. That's not my job.
You're the only one home. It is your job.
No. I've never agreed to be the defender of the bed. I'm just the builder.
Hey, listen, it wasn't in the job description that I had
The
to
job
work
description. Okay, I think I've finished it now. Okay.
Ooh, wow.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Okay.
It's the same voice I make for the wildest creatures in the end world, where they shoot things at you in boxes. What are they called? The boxes. Well, you make the shulker box, is it?
Oh, so they're shulks. Shulk.
Yeah, the shulks. Yeah.
Who are the shulks?
That's how,
The boxes.
The singer on Disturbed got his from.
No, he didn't come first. He came second to the shulks.
Shulker boxes
Yeah.
make Gluck Gluck 9000 noises.
No, they don't.
Can't change my mind.
They make Tasmanian devil noises.
They sound like they're.
When have you heard a
native-
Tasmanian devil?
The cartoon.
They're native to Wales.
My neighbor has one.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna do you a kindness and put the trap thing on. So you know when someone's here.
Why am I so trash?
Why
Why
the
you so
what?
Why am I so trash at parkour?
Because you have a whole life to live outside of Minecraft,
Plus you
and
just
you've
woken
been
up as
doing
well.
that. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it, and now I'm
I-
gonna try and have equipment so that I can defend the bed.
I had a friend in school, well in college, and his quote spoke to me through and through. And he said to me, he's like, "Oh, did you ever play WoW when you were younger?" And I was like, "Yeah, kind of, not really." He's like, "Oh, I was like the number 3 paladin in the world on World of Warcraft." I was like, "Oh damn, wow." I was like, "What happened?" And he's like, "I discovered guilds." I was like, "Okay, fair enough."
God damn it, I'm broke. Shit.
I have enough to get myself a bow, but not arrows.
If only we had that person shooting at me again, I could get you some.
Don't lose faith, I'm sure they'll come back.
Hell
They're
yeah.
hogging the emerald. Oh, they're coming.
Oh no.
No!
Oh, no.
Where?
Oh,
They're over on the bridge.
Okay, let me get my bow. Captain, you're on the defense.
Okay. Yeah, what's Blue up to over there? Oh, okay, that's cool. It fucking hides behind a bush.
What a bitch.
I-
Only little
I can
piss
see
boys
you.
hide behind a bush.
I can see you. Fucking Alex looking motherfucker. Get over here. Come on. Come on.
Wait, did you just say Alex looking motherfucker?
Yeah, they've got an Alex skin.
Okay, I've made us this
Oh,
lookout
there they
post.
go. Kick his ass, kick his ass.
It's too fast.
Chasing after a fucking roadrunner. Damn. Oh my, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, he's too fast.
I was telling Chad this, but I'll tell you
Why
guys.
did
Elias,
Elias stop?
No,
Oh, wow.
I watched that. That was pretty funny.
Poor Doge.
What was that, Scarlet?
Yeah, what were gonna tell
Can
us?
you tell me how much of a good girl I am for cleaning my whole ass apartment of the last
you-
like 5 days straight?
You're a very good girl, Scarlet. You did so well. And I'm actually genuinely proud of you.
Can you say it
for
one
your
more time?
mountain. Oh my god, okay. You're a very good girl.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I cleaned. I'll send you guys pictures. I'll post pictures in Discord of my cleaned. What? No, don't clip that. Literally 3 people just clipped that.
Stop that. Stop that.
Stop
She-
that.
Take your hands off the keyboard. Knock it off.
She has done so much. She, like, honestly.
Wait, Sleef? That's such a good name. Sleef.
I'd kill to be known as Sneef.
Oh, I got them. They fell off.
Oh!
Hey, good job.
Look at that.
Fuck you, Doge. You outdated meme.
Yeah, honestly, that meme is from like 6 years ago, kiddo.
Think of something
Get a new
else.
name.
Shit.
Oh, we're on a Christmas map. I didn't even notice. There's Christmas trees. what's the superior color? I think red.
Yeah.
Between that color, that shade of green and that shade of red, I think it's red.
As someone who was a red bitch for a long time, it's red.
Did you know my McDonald's predominantly use the color red? It's because red makes you hungry, apparently.
What?
That's weird. I don't like.
Damn, I hate
What?
color psychology.
Yeah. Also, do you guys? There's a TikTok about this.
Oh,
I
Elias,
watched-
there's emeralds in the chest for you. Sorry. I almost forgot.
No, you're fine. Good
I-
comms. Good comms. I'm just telling stories.
I love stories.
Telling bullshit stories. Okay, I don't have enough for a bow, so I guess I'll get some armor.
Oh, you're back in the game, you three, huh?
Yeah, she relogged.
Jade of pink. And thought was like the new color, and then it ended up that it made you like violently angry, even though
Wait,
it's
what?
supposed to be calming. Does someone know this whole story?
No.
What
I have
does?
no idea what you're talking about.
Wait, say that, I didn't hear you. What was
She's gone.
There's a shade of... I know you're muted, but I heard you through the VOD. There's a shade of pink that makes you violent.
Oh, no, no, no.
Color pink. The rates of
Hey,
assault
hey, hey! Someone's
were-
here, someone's here, someone's here.
Oh, where? I got him, but I don't have pen blocks. I was looking up.
Fuck, I missed. They're right there, too. Are you kidding me?
Hold on, I'm at the base, so I'm gonna try and sabotage you.
Are they gone or are they still there?
It's over. Don't stop. Burr, burr, beer, beer, beer. What was that? Did they just do another bridgie?
The bridge dissolved. It must be a
Okay,
temporary
that
thing.
scared me.
Where'd you boys?
They know I'm
Uh-oh.
here.
Oh, no, no. Fuck. Someone's here. I heard them. Where are they? There's one over there.
A son of a bitch.
What was that?
I didn't know you could get me from there.
Attention again. That is safe.
Lies.
I'm paying. I only have one iron sword by which to defend it, but it's. No, no one. Okay.
What? What's up?
No. Just be like, no. Just me. All right.
No. Good crowd, good crowd.
Tough crowd. You guys, wait.
Ooh,
For like 5
Dankeschön.
minutes, can we heckle each other like we're the audience and everyone is a comedian?
God. Oh, they're coming behind me.
So, I just discovered you can ride your pets in the lobby. I
Oh,
was gonna say something
Nice.
because of my pet's name, but that would have sounded so bad.
oh no.
Oh, you scared me.
In-
She say there's enough emeralds in the chest for you to get diamond.
Oh, thank you.
Wait, do I have diamonds?
Yes.
I do, okay.
Oh, I just took the diamonds.
Oh, they're coming.
They're coming. Let them come. There's one dwarf left in Moria. I forget the rest of the quote.
He didn't do his growl that he does.
Let them come.
You know, he does like a unique. He's like, wow. Let them come.
Sleeve's just on a little bridge. poor Sleeve. Their buddies behind them though, damn it. That's upsetting.
Love you, Sneef.
Does he see?
I'm a fan. Sneef. Someone look up Sneef.
Oh,
What?
God damn it.
Oh! Goodbye.
Look at their bed.
Their bed's on the other side of the
Captain-
map.
Captain,
That's the
like,
only
oh,
issue.
one's coming from the other side.
Hello.
They're trying to bow shoot me. Hello? Who's in here?
Oh, they're forming a pincer move.
Oh shit.
Attacking from both sides.
I don't like things with pincers.
Hey, hear me out, guys.
No.
You two stay here. And I... You You can't do that now.
You have a man shooting at your back.
Son of a bitch.
He's still vibing over there. I think you're okay. Oh, careful, careful. Aww.
I've been.
Oh, got him. Get fucked.
Never been more
Hey, no. Don't do that.
Okay, I friended the right Sleef this time.
Didn't realize you friended the wrong one.
I friended Sneef, but this guy is Sleef
Mmm.
With an L.
God damn it.
with an L. The L is.
I don't know if you want to
silent, no
befriend
matter
him.
how
He's
you
currently
try.
kicking our ass solo.
Maybe if I played with.
His buddy Vessel's helping, but... shit. Okay. I was gonna go in guns blazing, but I'm not brave enough. You know what? Fuck it. Why not?
I'm going in guns blazing.
Honestly, they're kind of bad.
Honestly, kinda shit. Oh damn, I see your red bridge.
How do we even get to green? This way?
We've
I
got...
made a bridge on the other side.
Yeah, we've got bridges to it.
Uh,
Oh, I was just AFK.
Damn, they've made a whole entire wall! Okay, calm down, kid. Calm down.
I've no
The
glass,
wall
so
will-
I'm gonna bring a fireball with me.
It's not even the towers. They built their own wall.
is it wool?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you have any
I've got
fireballs?
shears.
Oh, you got shears. Okay.
I have a fireball and a shear. Oh no, they see me!
If you distract them,
Oh, I did. I also took one with me.
hey,
No, I did not. If only their bed was gone, they would have been donezo.
I'm in!
Oh! Go, go, go!
I died.
Oh. Oh, good. If we get there quick enough, we can probably get in through the hole. Like fucking rats.
Like, we just keep going. Oh, I almost fell off. I still have my sword and my shears and stuff. Scar, why did you give them 8 diamonds?
I mean, we don't necessarily need the diamonds anymore. I think we've got quite a few upgrades. Although we could probably upgrade something still. Oh, I see the hole. Time to nibble at their ankles. Nom, 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 nom.
No, I stay on my hole. Shit. Ah,
You did not walk off.
You just walked on the
Damn it.
Listen, guys, I never said I was gonna be good at bedwars.
The way you turned around and just casually walked right off. It was beautiful.
Oh, that's right. I didn't. So I try and read out the code, the military like phonetic alphabet to Elias.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's bridge from the other side?
Since they're expecting us on this side, we could.
Yeah.
I think we'd need to keep them busy,
I have
though.
money.
Yeah, they're just counting.
So 2 people go on
Here,
one
hold on.
side.
Might upgrade
And
our...
there's nothing worse than as well.
Alright. I upgraded our forge.
I'll let them in.
We've also got, we've got yellow at our disposal if we want to steal shit from their forge.
Good idea. I'll go collect resources. Down to 5
Ow.
from a
Oh,
distance.
bitch.
Some bitch.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you want to come around the other side, because they're just focused on you at the moment.
I was just gonna get resources from yellow to buy a bunch of fireballs and then mount a fireball explosion. And
Mount
then
your
you guys
attack?
Can,
Hello.
Yeah, you guys can go. Hello. Yellow to
I want that. It's mine now. There he go.
I have some sad news, everyone. You did not accept my friend request.
Aww.
Didn't.
He might after the game. Or did he straight up deny it?
Who didn't accept your friend request?
Sleeve.
No. They probably have to ask their mum. Oh shit.
I'm stealing
Ah.
also.
That scared me. Aw, Sleeve.
Okay, I'm about to be.
Poor little
I'm about to be
baby.
in position.
Little baby boy.
Yeah, I think we all need to go over there at the same time to like fuck him up.
I'm almost in
they're-
position.
At least one of
Guys,
them is mostly
balls.
watching me. It's Arrow dude. Hello. Oh,
Door knocking. Sleeve.
FBI, open up.
Ah!
Oh, I get him. Oh, was that you?
Got him.
Hey, good job.
Scott.
yo, what?
They're a bunch of. Oh. Ah, what the fuck? How's he hitting me from that far?
What the fuck, Richard?
They're got tier.
No, honestly, no. They're just dog
Okay,
shit.
are
but-
we ready? I have fireball and I'm ready to mount my attack. One fire from the. Let's go. Pincer move right now. I'm approaching the target.
Oh god, you've given no time to prep. Okay, I'm going from the right.
Okay, I'm hiding right now.
Okay. Don't attack just yet.
Coming to me, though.
Yeah, they've been using that side to leave. Alright, I'm at yellow.
Green is at blue base.
One of you.
How many of them? Can you see?
I just saw the one.
Alright, Vessel's still there.
Okay, I'm mounting my attack. You extra time. It's happening now. Oh, I'm gonna die. No, I.
Shit. Fuck. Ah! 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 Fuck. Oh, I'm gone. Oh, no fucking way. Alright, they're gonna respawn though.
As
Shit,
we did
shit,
not
shit.
coordinate this well.
Well, someone's pincer move didn't work.
If you announced it like 5 minutes ago, and you all ignored me, and I tried.
I was AFK. My brother wanted lotion.
Fuck your brother.
No!
Him.
No! God damn it.
Well,
I'm.
I don't even know what side they went in from. They closed it off perfectly. Are they not in there anymore? The fuck are they? Gotta be invis or something.
okay.
Aww. Shit. Oh, I see where they got it. Okay.
I've been mounted in the lobby.
You've been mounted?
Yes, I've been mounted.
You're bringing Jet into the Bloons game.
I'm going at him.
I'm just.
Oh, that bitch.
You guys still want to attempt the pincer?
Oh, I'm here.
Dead.
Damn it!
Okay.
I had him too. That's upsetting.
So
I'm
I
on my
will watch
way.
over you like a force ghost.
Yeah, it's just the one guy, so it's
Elias?
1v1.
Yeah, I died.
It's just. Is he a
He got 2 out of 3 of them.
me?
Yeah, it's just you and
You
him.
and-
Sleeve?
Oh, Sleeve? I don't think it is. No, it's Crimlocker.
Is it Sleeve?
It's Crimlocker.
The betrayal.
He's at the base currently. There's a hole for you to get in, but be careful because he's been using potions. He's been going invis. That's what he did when I got there.
Oh, I believe in you. You can go fuck him up. He only has 13 health.
Fuck him up. Fuck him up.
Just wait for him to.
Do they not have heal pool?
No, he has
I feel
20.
like I should
No,
just-
he's 24 now. No, go fuck him up.
I don't think they have heal pool.
Oh,
Aww. Oh my god. Even Sleef is laughing.
Even like. I didn't trip. It was just so bad. Okay, let's play 4. Let's play 4.
Jeez.
Wait.
That was
There
like
we
the
go.
equivalent of King Theoden doing that speech at the Battle of Gondor and then tripping and falling
And then get.
impaling himself on his own sword.
Okay.
Ooh, Catman.
Catman?
Catman.
Everyone.
Catman.
Ooh, what is this man?
If I ever played and it was with you.
So your mic is breaking up a lot. I don't know
Yeah.
if you're muting and say that again.
Uh,
Oh,
Oh. That's not good.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Raggy.
stop it. No raggies.
my god, we're pissed! Let's go! You can feel the piss
Red
coursing through my
Let me
veins.
see if I can
Oh,
switch my head.
Now we can hear you.
Already? Oh my god.
Damn, okay, Bloodthirsty, go off.
What to do?
We can hear you in.
What about now?
Scarlet. We could hear you before. Whatever you were doing before, we could hear you before.
Little light.
Where are the chests? Oh, here.
There we go. Okay, sorry. You probably could hear me shouting, but I couldn't hear you. I apologize for that.
There you go. We can hear you now, I think.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Razor, like, I've had a lot of driver updates and
Bro.
Hey!
But yeah, Razor.
Jesus, fuck.
Oh shit, when it comes to software.
Ay, Dios mío.
Suck my dick, why don't you?
Oh my god.
wow.
That was so quick.
Man, speed bridging. Come here. Come here.
Yeet.
You like the taste of stone up your ass? Sorry.
The taste of stone up your ass.
Also, what were you saying, Scarlet, before your microphone started to fuck up?
I have no idea.
Got all fucky wucky.
Uh-oh, you've made a
Oh,
fucky
God,
wucky.
I'm-
Now you have to stay in the forever box.
Green is coming back to kill us. Like,
I fell, so I have...
Oh no.
Did they just blow themselves up?
Oh, I died.
No.
I don't know if you're muted, Scarlet, in the game or on Discord.
What are you doing that you keep falling?
Thanks for dropping in. Jumping off this top.
I don't know
Come
what
here,
to
Green.
do.
Come here.
Wait,
Come here.
now we can
Come
hear
here.
you.
Come here. Come here. Ha! Get fucked!
Now,
Get him.
because you.
No, it's breaking up again.
Okay, well, this is the best I can do.
That's alright.
I apologize.
As long as Jack can hear, it's fine. Like, your audio is fine on the
Stream.
stream.
Yeah, I see that, so I'm just. Fuck. Just that. Shit, I fucking hate children. Like, literally get fucked.
Not the children.
That.
Fuck,
What the
fuck,
hell
happened?
shit,
I mean, that's
shit.
just
Oh, he's
me.
invisible!
Oh.
Oh, he's invisible!
Ah!
Oh no, I'm dead.
Oh, there we go. We're gone.
We were the first ones down.
To
Yeah,
be
the
fair,
children's
Blue's
still-
almost gone. They're down to one person.
Red and green have just been abusing people.
Yeah.
That's not very nice.
Wait, are we all dead? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do I leave?
It's not very pog channel.
Party host has to switch us into another lobby.
Oh, okay.
Scarlet.
Damn. Oh, Velvet. Shit.
It was speedrun though.
Meow.
My phone is 100%
Oh,
broken.
that's a
but
clown.
It's funny that streamers is what finally made it.
Oh, it's Joker.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Bite in
gosh.
Shrooms.
I also my messages.
Oh, Queen, are you definitely
Okay.
doing that castle that you put in Discord for your base?
It's cool out for you guys. Sleeping.
Yeah. What is going on?
Like Queen, you're all out.
Fucking robots over here, shit.
I know, right? Is it Discord that's causing it?
Yes, Discord's been having shit the past like week.
Oh, damn.
Okay. And it makes me feel
Oh,
better. Yeah.
my
I know, I heard
fireball.
that.
I get knocked out, but I get up again.
I get knocked out,
I'm trying.
but I get up again.
No, there are two for ruin my mood. If one of these two things happens,
Oh no.
it's technical stream issues, and that when your Uber Eats order is wrong after they deliver it,
Oh.
that's like the whole day is gone.
Nothing worse than that. Especially if you drove
Thing.
to the place. Oh, I don't know if I'm interrupting. Wait, what PC thing? I can hear you through the VOD. What PC thing? Okay. I can fix your computer. I will insert my USB into your computer. and fix it.
It's my audio, you
What a
guys.
good AI.
What she built me for is just to fix things.
Bob the Builder. Sorry.
No. Can we fix it?
No, we can't.
Oh, yes.
You guys got an echo. 1 second, everyone. I'm fixing this.
Echo.
Bro, somebody just took the fucking emeralds.
What
Came
the
here- I
fuck,
came
dog?
to bed for no fucking reason.
Go ahead and suck my dick while you're at it. Shit.
Ooh.
So weird. Whatever I just
Bro.
did to try and fix my audio, I only hear you guys out of my left ear now. Like, just my left ear.
That's weird. Okay.
Dimo.
Whew.
Make these bridges a little more thick.
They're not thick.
Fuck.
Thick.
They're not thick. By being able to do that with your throat like that, you're like halfway in learning to speak the Welsh language. There's a lot of that in it.
Oh, are you kidding me? That is upsetting.
Oh fuck!
There's 2 yellow left, and I was like, you know what? Oh, there's a blue coming. There's a blue
Blue's
coming. There's a blue
I
coming.
think. Blue's coming. Ah! All you hear is Scarlet.
But I was throwing fireballs at yellow and I almost knocked one off of their own base just from across the way. I'm so sad I couldn't.
I'm sad and I'm a little bit upset with you, to be honest.
Oh. I'm sorry.
I'm
I
sorry,
disown you,
you.
but you're
What?
Elias first and foremost, so.
Haha. I'm a permanent fixation here.
Elias, what was your labor and delivery experience like? And was it a hard birth? Did you have a C-section or was it au natural?
Oh, natural.
baby.
Au natural? No epidural or
No
anything?
epidural, no, not even gas in there. I was just
Damn.
like, let's do this shit. I was like, placing AC/DC.
That explains a lot, honestly.
Ah.
I had a live band going on, live heavy metal band going on in this room.
Fall.
Slipknot on there playing Psychosocial. Psychosocial.
Oh, you kidding me?
Cap, I think you were killed.
Okay.
You know, I never would have guessed, actually.
I
You know,
think the
Queen, you were the
veggie
kind of
fans-
people in school that I would, like, hate. Just doing shit like that.
You would have hated me in elementary school because I was that one kid that everyone hated that reminded the teacher about the homework.
Oh, God.
Mm.
Up until about 5th grade, I was the good kid.
The good noodle.
Damn, they fucking...
That's what always killed me with how my parents were. Like the worst thing I ever did was like go to a party and drink alcohol, but like, I didn't do drugs. Like one time I went home from somewhere because people were smoking weed. I literally walked home 2 miles. Wait, I see them! They're here! They're here!
They're gone. How is it? How is it in there?
I don't understand actually, because that seems to happen like rather frequently. Straight. And it doesn't make any sense. Check it. Blast, that's
Oh shit.
I walked backwards and fell off.
You fell off, how could you? You had so much to live.
Motherfucker, stop it. Stop. The barrel of a gun.
Wait,
Standing
How-
in the
Green?
sun's
how far did you have to walk back from that party?
Jackass?
And my mom was like, "What happened? I thought you were gonna be at your friend's house." And I was like,
Oh.
Give me that.
I was like, "I'm home." No, really. Back early. Good time. Wait, there.
Oh.
Got him.
Yeah, that son of a bitch has got the same skin as me.
Hey!
Only I can have this skin.
Now you gotta kick his ass.
I did. I killed him.
Killed him dead.
I killed him deaded.
Are they seriously still trying to blow us up?
No, that was me.
Motherfuckers.
Mother trucker, dude.
That hurt like a butt cheek on a stick.
Can we talk about? Can we? Comment where they're like, lumps.
Do we want to talk about lumps?
My lumps, my lovely lady lumps.
You know what's a good song? Two Trucks by Lemon.
Motherfucker! Stop it!
It's a funny song. Actually.
Oh,
Played it for Scarlet once. She was disappointed in me.
Where
Ow!
am I going?
Motherfucker.
No, we could.
I know it's everybody, but what if I...
I'm not ignoring. I'm hearing you through the VOD, but there's like a massive delay, so there's gonna be like a 5-second delay.
You're hearing me through the VOD. I want a fucking divorce. This is unacceptable.
Now I can hear you through Discord.
Unacceptable!
No, I can't. It's breaking up again.
Discord's having some issues.
I don't want you to try and fix. But it keeps breaking up. I don't know why it does it. It just
I'm
keeps
just gonna
breaking up.
fucking quit this. Okay, bye.
Oh, I died.
I
Oh,
just put this wool down. Stop it.
stop it. Get some help. Meow,
Please.
meow, meow, meow. Damn it, our bridge is so wide they can just walk back.
Lump story. We were just chilling out at night, getting ready for bed, and normally Scarlett like looks on Twitter or Reddit or whatever,
Mhm.
or like
I'm sorry
TikToks,
about the
or,
wide
like,
bridge. I was
online.
trying not to fall into
Where'd my balls go?
And
Just got
Got him.
shotted.
he started to uncontrollably laugh, like hysterical laugh. And I was like, okay, she must have saw a really funny TikTok or something. And I was like, oh, what did you find? And she couldn't even say what she found because she was laughing so hard. I was like, oh, this must be really good. I was like, go on, show me the video. And she's like, no, it's not a video. And I was like, okay, someone said something funny on Twitter then. And he was like, no, it's not even Twitter. I was like, okay, Reddit. There could be some hidden gems on Reddit. And I was like, what is it? And she just sent me the fucking a screenshot of that guy's comment saying lump. And I was like, what's wrong with you?
Oh!
There goes Scarlet. Ah!
Let me respawn, bitch. Shit. No. Stop it! Stop it!
Oh, were they here?
Us.
Oh,
Get
You
fucked, mother trucker.
you did fuck him up.
Indeed, I did.
Indeed,
Partake in
do.
the fucking ups.
Okay.
Oh, no, okay. Alright.
Romeo
Sorry.
say that to Juliet in a Shakespeare play. Sounds like
I have
a
partaked in the
Shakespeare-
fucking.
Of ups.
That's what truly broke apart the families.
Why doth now thy fucketh Juliet?
Why doth Juliet partake in the fucking?
How can I compare thee to a summer's day?
A summer's day is not a bitch.
Romeo's like, okay,
It's like shit.
I'll go home.
I go home, go bed. No, I need that. Come here. Ah! Okay, bye.
Wait, is our bed dead?
No, we've still got our bed.
No. Better not be.
That green man terrified me. I turned around and he was just there.
He's just standing there, menacing
Ooh.
me.
Little.
Fuck
There's a
off,
quote.
you mother trucker!
You two used to watch SpongeBob, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was not allowed to watch SpongeBob.
When I come
What?
across one of the TikTok things, I still watch it.
I'm going to die.
I'm done.
Dodge better. That was mean. I'm sorry.
One of my favorite quotes
Ah!
from the SpongeBob episode
Nice.
is where SpongeBob goes to Patrick and they're both looking angry, and SpongeBob is like, "Hey, Patrick," and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You angry?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why are you angry, Patrick?" And he's like, "Because I can't look at my own forehead." Oh, fuck. Such a good name.
I was tormenting one of my sweet mates by doing some SpongeGar shit.
What's that?
Do you remember SpongeGar?
Oh, SpongeBob. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like fucking essentially running up to them, with like my arms bent and my knees bent and everything, going, and she screamed and ran across the fucking suite.
Brought to.
You're a bully.
Hey, get out of here, motherfucker.
I need more arrows.
I still do that sometimes. The first time it happened was in the middle of the night, but she had like a friend over one time, and I just looked at her from across the room and did it again, and she screamed again.
That's mean. Don't do that.
Elias, be careful. Yellow's trying to snipe you off.
We share an enemy? These motherfuckers are trying to team against us. These bastard bitches.
I'm actually playing with particles on for once, so I can see the arrow trail that I have. Aha!
Get absolutely cucked.
He's literally missing. So bad. Get good, bro. I say that as I miss. Over here, Scarlet over here hogging all the resources.
God damn it.
I'm gonna leave my bow here while I go out.
I'm back.
Or
Oh my
emerald.
god. Hey, welcome back.
I just
Welcome
watched
back.
Elias jump into the void.
After you made fun of me that last time.
I didn't jump. I got yanked in by an arrow.
Sure.
Oh my
Oh,
god, my
shit,
aim
I
is
just-
ass.
I just did it too, it's okay.
Oh, no, you just jumped into the void, Queen.
Because I thought I could make that jump. Turns out I couldn't.
He's just taking my arrows. I'm not shooting at him anymore. Fuck this guy. You can suck my left toe for all I care.
Alright, I've got 4 fireballs. Who should I hit?
This yellow motherfucker.
Where are they?
Over to the right. Whoa!
Where are they? Here's this motherfucker.
Just endless fireballs. Ow!
Go get him,
Endless
Tiger.
balls.
He's got TNT, damn it.
Oh, that's what that was. I was like, Jesus Christ. I literally spawned in, bought 4 fireballs, and then Green was at our base.
Is he still? Yeah, he's okay.
Ay, coño, su madre.
Oh shit.
Sorry.
You tell him.
No, where are they?
They're inside.
No!
Yeah, they got it.
Aw, damn it.
I knocked one off, but I don't know where the other one
He's
is.
still in there. I can hear him rooting around. Like a fucking rat. Ah! Ah! Shit! There I go.
I'm like
I'm
lagging
fighting
like
these
fuck.
cheaters, damn it.
I got one. I got one. I've gotten 2 now, and they're gonna explode me with TNT, and I'm dead. Okay. Alright,
Oh.
well, I did my best. Who's alive still?
Elias. Oh shit.
Get him, Elias.
Damn, you made some good headway.
Avenge us.
I'm gonna get him.
You get
I'm
him.
gonna get him.
Go get him.
I'm gonna get him.
Get him.
Who the hell is Elias?
He's over near the diamond gen between green and yellow.
I'm gonna get him.
Get him. Get
I'm
him.
gonna get him.
Oh, I
Okay.
clicked on
Okay.
someone's profile because I
Careful.
thought it was Elias.
Don't let
Turns out it was
don't let the
this
space be
dude.
behind you.
I
Yeah,
got
it's
him.
someone else.
Gah!
They-
No, I did not get them.
No. He had the high ground.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh,
I didn't get outskilled. Yeah, the high ground.
yep.
You're
That's all it was.
you're not outskilled in a lot of games. Like you
Mm-hmm.
played. Wait, did we talk about this? Okay, I bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 because I wanted to
Ghost,
sit for
ghost,
Ghost.
ghost, ghost,
Yep,
ghost,
and
ghost.
So I bought it, and then I was like, I'm not gonna play this without Elias, and so I bought it for Elias as well, and he was mad at me because it's pretty expensive, and was all like, you know, you can't be spending that much money on me, and blah 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 blah. Anyway, I install it, and then we played once, and I don't think I thought about it, and then like a week later, I hear him clickety clacking, and I'm like, what are you playing? He's like, Call of Duty. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Without me, you complained so much about this. And now, this is what I get for it. This is the thanks I get. And
Yeah,
he's
but-
probably like 10th prestige now. And I'm,
Damn.
I had
I'm like
a,
a .02 KD.
I had a 18.5 kill death ratio. There, you've been a minute.
He is
So-
literally so proud of it. Run a game and be like, babe, I had like 104 kills. And I'm like, nice.
Yeah, just nice.
Nice.
Good job.
Good
All that
job,
hard
babe.
work gone. Oh shit. Oh, green's up in the sky.
I just accidentally bought way too much wool.
Listen, don't be jailing me because you ain't me. Alright? Don't hate me. 'cause
I
you
knocked
ain't
him
me.
down.
We're piss boys again.
Got him.
And green's trying to fuck us up again.
Yep.
I hate green, dude. Green is the worst goddamn color.
Oh my god, no wonder I was such ass in the last game.
What?
Wow.
I didn't buy any armor. I was like, why is everyone killing so much?
Just running around naked.
Pretty much.
Naked baby.
Naked
And
baby.
Figuring out why I'm dying so quickly. I'm like, why are these swords like in my skin really well?
Green's coming back.
Ah!
Are they at our bed?
That'll spook them. No, they're bridging over.
What the hell?
It's
What's your
it's
impression of
it's
who
like
this guy
3
is?
out of 4 of them.
Fucking.
Oh, motherfucker!
Fucking blue was hitting me and I couldn't even reach them.
Oh, I hate when that fucking happens.
It's called hacks.
Hacks. What is it? There's also the kill aura one where like it just like does damage to people within a radius. That's one of the things that the motherfucking shit tests for.
Motherfucker.
We tried to put an anti-cheat on the server, but like the base configurations were that like regular Java speeds were too fast. So it would just kick and ban people for walking on ice or whatever in Minecraft. And I was not about to go through every setting, so I just turned it off. So I guess, you know, cheat away. Just kidding, don't do that. I'll get very sad and upset.
Hungry.
Ooh, I'm hungry too.
You are.
I'm hungry. But I have leftover hibachi.
Ooh. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What
I
the
was
fuck?
just there!
Bruh.
Where?
Where even did they go?
I don't understand how that happened, because I literally
Yo
was
no
just there.
comprendo.
Literally, someone's hacking. It's the only explanation. Obviously. There he is.
I'm almost-
There he is. There he is. There he is. There he is. He's following you. He's following you. He's following you.
There's another green
Well,
still
I'm
up.
Sorry, I wasn't.
Ah
saying
ah
anything.
ah! Blue.
I got one green. I'm like majorly lagging though. Are you guys? Or is it just that I'm using 19.2 client?
Because you're using 9.2.
It's not usually this bad though. I'm getting like 10
It's
FPS.
probably both. To be perfectly honest.
Ooh, there's a little.
I know there's a Java
What is
update,
that?
So maybe I need to update Java.
Was that the hacker? Was that?
That was the source of their.
We've taken it. Give me my fucking. Stop it. Stop.
Who just took all the diamonds? What the hell?
Not it.
No one. I didn't do it. What are you talking about?
So that's where I get that from. Cool, cool. Cool, 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 cool. It's diamond shit.
I was gonna give us like
I got
sharpness, but you know, you stole the diamonds.
No, they're back in there.
3 more.
Come back.
Happy birthday.
I'm getting like literally 10 frames a second right now.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm spectating you and you're just moving around like 4 blocks at a time.
You're
Oh,
Maybe.
oh, green, green.
Pretty weird.
We have sharpness. Kill them all.
I knocked them off.
You know what's fun? A knockback stick.
Hee hee hee.
That is fun.
Smack 'em.
Smack 'em.
How much gold is it?
Ah, cha, 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 cha.
5 gold for a knockback stick. also
You
gonna
just
get
say Benihana, Scarlet.
Yeah, dude, Benihana is fucking incredible.
Benihana just reminds me of the Wolf of... Oh, I fell. Never mind.
Motherfucker.
Benihana reminds me of the movie The Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, yeah, because Steve Aoki's dad that started Benihana was like one of those guys.
Well, no, that's how they got caught as well, because some guy was at Benihana's when he
Did
got
anybody
caught by the
else's
FBI.
headset just severely smush their ears?
No.
No. Do you have a Kraken?
Kraken.
You gotta, if there's smushing, it's better to fold them in than have it over top of your ears. Mine covers like my whole ass ear.
Yeah, fucking bite your ankles.
Hey, sorry, you got tiny ears.
Who's
Wait, am I-
alive still?
Queen and
Me.
I.
Also, how do I change to windowed mode again? F11.
F11, yeah. Alt F. No, it's Alt F4,
What?
actually.
Alt F4.
I'm old enough to know that's not correct.
Well,
Good, I dare you. Do it for the shits and gigs.
It says I'm spectating, but I just see a yellow screen. This is great. We've made it 1 hour and
Fucking
15 minutes
stop
into
it.
Blue's
stream.
coming, blue's coming, blue's coming, blue's coming.
well, I'm currently not home, so goodbye.
Oh no, you died. Oh no.
Yeah, I was getting emeralds.
I cannot survive by myself. Me a little pussy. Sorry.
Oh no, it's not fine. Are you guys still alive? I'm spectating blue, so I can.
I am dead. Queen is still alive.
Queen 2 of blue are at their base. I have no eyes on yellow.
Is there anyone here that remembers or like old enough?
We
to
are yellow.
remember the maze
Oh,
game?
right.
it's just
There's
just
no
Queen
way
and
I'm gonna
Blue.
go and break Blue's bed. Sorry.
Blue's watching you from the middle. See that? There's two of them there.
Who can get fucked?
My
You're so right. Let's see. There's two there. There's another coming to the
Can
middle.
Eat my whole asshole.
Damn. Oh, there's a guy to your right.
I'm literally being called.
Yeah.
I
Guy on the right
I
has
might have
TNT for
to-
whatever fucking
I might
reason.
have to throw. I might just have
It's
to throw.
fine.
Oh.
Blix, you're such a sweetheart, actually, considering me in the conversation. I did say something about a maze.
Blix is
but
our
totally
age,
ignored.
Elias. You know, be more interesting, and then maybe we'll listen.
I
to you.
literally asked
Listen.
an interesting question, but it was ignored.
Listen,
No.
you know things are cutting out, okay?
No, I'm not cutting out. I have
Eh?
the NASA internet. I have
Hear me
100
out.
megabits of
What if we
download
now
speed.
play Bloons Tower Defense?
Yo, there's
Hear
a
me out on this.
oh, there's a fucking ah! I saw a
I
penguin.
hear the pig. I see you, Elias.
Penguin.
Fine.
Guys,
Oh.
should we start hardcore over again? I kind of liked the days where we were just playing hardcore, a new hardcore world every single stream. I miss those days. We need to do cap for like YouTube. We need to do like 100 days in hardcore situation. I just don't know how you feel about editing 20 hours of video.
20 hours of like an hour of silence where me and whoever is not talking.
No, because that's the thing. I've thought about recording me and Elias like just privately playing games so many times because we're like I the best I can compare it to is like at 4 a.m. on the birthday stream is how every conversation with Elias and I is like when we're not streaming. And then for whatever reason we like try to play the game when I'm streaming, but when I'm not streaming, it's like absolute fuckery with 4 a.m. vibes, and I need to just record it for you.
What'd that do? What?
Wait, Sil, Champa's saying Skyblock. I don't know how to play Skyblock.
Oh!
You guys ever listen to alternative music?
I
Yes,
listen.
on TikTok.
I listen to that all
I
the
can't
time.
see.
A Cuban sandwich. Hi, I'm back.
I want a Cuban sandwich. I can't join. I can't play games. Cool Sneaker, get off of me. It won't let
Is
me
he
click.
riding you?
Won't
Oh,
even let
Scarlet.
me click.
Scarlet, you know how you named my cow?
What did I name your cow?
Scarlet.
When the later is much greater.
I named your cow?
So, I'm riding Scarlet.
He named the cow after Scarlet.
Oh shit.
Shit is fucked up, guys.
Damn, Cool's all rainbow.
Why is it fucked up?
Hello. Okay.
we
Let's go! No! I was gonna take Cool on an adventure.
I don't know, I can't get into 4x4.
Hogs.
My game is fucked. It might be Java and I might just have to update it.
Try 1.8.9.
No, dude. There we go, I got it. I needed to DC it and reconnect. Okay, we're in a game now. Did everyone get into the Bed Wars lobby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, the little fishies.
Ooh, snazzy suit. Oh.
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 Scarlet, I just noticed the stream title.
What? Mpreg family.
It's be-
Oh.
Queen, we lost you.
Hello?
Team upgrade.
You're
He's
back.
making faces.
Okay. I had my mic away from my mouth because I was eating.
What is Skyblock?
Basically, you start out on this island in the sky.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'd love to start a co-op with people.
that could be cool.
Literally, Skyblock is so fucking fun.
A lot of the
Especially with
maps,
someone like Still who plays 25/8 and grinds
Oh
everything.
god.
a lot of the maps have like quests for you to do too.
Yeah, I was
There's,
gonna say I can generate a Skyblock world, but I don't know how to add all the plugins and shit to make it. Like if there are elements of gameplay that are not vanilla, then I need to know what plugins.
Yeah, there's like a bazaar, and there's
So it's like sort of a settled world.
yeah,
There's no mining.
No, there is. What?
Oh, okay.
At some point, you have to have a
There's
cobblestone
different
generator.
There's different versions of Skyblock. There's main regular Skyblock where you can go to different islands, like via hub and everything.
Like
Then
with
there's
dwarves and
Stranded.
shit.
Yeah. And then there's Stranded where you're stuck on
Not
your
my
island
bow.
and you get all your resources from that island.
Oh,
Queen, I think
then
she
there-
means the normal vanilla Skyblock, not the Hypixel one.
Well, what? Yeah, what's like vanilla Skyblock? What
Well,
is it?
it's
Just
It's just a
vanilla
map.
World Gen?
That's it.
okay. And so you're just limited by like your ability to like bridge around and get resources.
Pretty much.
And I assume Void is below, not an Overland
Mm-hmm.
or
Yep.
an Overworld.
so if you
Okay.
fall off, you
I
lose
mean, I
everything
can
you've
make
got.
that one real easy. That'll take me an hour.
I can just send you the map for it.
I have
Have a
Skyblock maps
And get
actually.
their diamond.
I've purchased lots of.
Yellow's
maps.
trying to.
Percussive.
Yo,
Okay.
this song is a fucking bop. If anyone wants this song, it's called "School's Out" by Memba.
Oh, little baby hiding behind the little baby pillar.
Give them their bottle. Give him what he wants.
Come on, you yellow bitch.
Little bitch.
Can I have like 3 minutes to just get the iron so that we can put blast-proof glass? Because we're at that precarious part where if someone throws from the right angle, they'll destroy everything.
Mm.
Oh god.
No! What did I say?
I want to go after blue. I don't have the things to do so.
I frequently venture forth with only my wooden
With only my wits.
What do you need?
I just need a pick. I'm good. Cool.
What if I just rushed? I'd probably fail miserably, but I mean, I don't have anything on me.
valuable.
Yeah.
Who's up there? Oh, okay, you're up there. Gotcha.
I do like
Huh.
the reason I like Bed Wars is there's no cost.
Oh, Yellow's dead.
Oh.
Queen, good job. You did it.
Oh my goodness! Just like that, we've done it.
And just like that.
Did it with my mind. Aren't you proud of me?
Damn, Emerald Gen already? Shit.
Mind.
Fucking wild, Blue.
Yeah, they ain't fudging around.
Okay, I think I've completed our bed defense.
Blue's Gen is doing diamonds,
Is-
or not
is
diamonds, but
neon.
emeralds, so if we want to grab emeralds from here.
Oh, they already got
Oh.
diamonds on their gen?
They're up to
That
emerald.
was fast.
Granted, they're gone, so I don't know how much it helped them, but...
Wait, who's left? Green.
Best idea. His new girlfriend's next.
Oh god. Hello.
Oh, Grace.
Oh, Grace. Oh, Grace.
Oh, Grace.
I knew that video. Oh, Grace.
Wait. I'm so left out. I don't know the things.
It's like a basketball, like, I guess like half-time like game that they play with the fans.
Where someone has to half court it or something.
No, so like
Ah!
they have to
Sorry.
shoot like a hoop or like a dunk, and then they have to run back to the center and like place. And they're playing tic-tac-toe. They have like these
Green's
giant
coming. Green's
Norton
coming.
crosses.
Yeah, I think I
Ow,
pissed him
hold
off a little.
Where?
In front of us. Shit, someone's here.
I got
Oh, nice. I made the majority of a bridge on the left toward green.
So if you're still awake, can we get a compilation video of the amount of times I've been calm during mid-story? God damn.
a compilation video of no one listening to it.
Yeah, and like I have this
It's
fucking.
funny you should say that because about 3 seconds ago someone did the redeem that's like, oh, I didn't realize we were letting bottoms have opinions.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Have the song "Mad" will be playing in the background of the compilation. So.
Mad world. I find it kinda bussin'. I find it kinda cap.
No.
But the dreams in which I'm dying are the ones that kinda slap. I love Donnie Darko. That movie scared the fuck out of me the first time I watched it. But I also feel like that's a school shooter anthem. That movie, like that's like some shit that.
Ow! Ooh, ooh.
Oh my
If I wasn't
God.
shifting, I would have died. Because I landed on a block.
You good over there?
I decided to forego wool and just cover it in end stone. So
That's really good.
honestly, it's like not that much more expensive, and it's pretty. Oh god!
I
Oh, I died! I wasn't paying attention. I was pouring wine.
This is why we don't drink during Bed Wars.
They're breaking our stuff. I hear them breaking it. I can't find them. They're gonna break our bed, you guys. Ah!
Can we get an F in chat?
Okay, just alright.
Bye bye.
Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ.
What did he ever do to you?
Jesus or Teddy Roosevelt?
Roosevelt.
It's from a book. If you
Oh,
read
okay.
books, you would understand.
If you were literate, you'd know.
Should know that. I was never taught this.
No.
Strange. Who's playing Minecraft?
Me.
Oh, I don't want to be here. Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely. Okay.
Oh no.
Aw, snowman. I like snowmen.
You like snowmen?
Oh.
I do like me snowmen too, actually. I like to give them the big carrot nose. And stone buttons.
Buttons.
Button.
Oh, us over here talking about buttons. This is a really good sandwich. Oh, I forgot I have this. Can I get up there? Ah! Save me. I realized I have a grappling hook and I don't think I should have this power. Hi guys, welcome in. Love you too. Very fair, very fair. But welcome in, guys.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you for the raid.
Yeah, I want to update my Java / fix whatever the fuck was going on, and I'm doing that now before I fall asleep. So,
Smart.
I will be bailing on everyone. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
It's okay.
Enjoy the high pixelation.
I'm climbing
Yo,
a
how do
tree.
you have a shooty boy? What the fuck?
God damn it, I'm falling.
What is that? A grappling hook?
Oh,
Catherine,
yeah.
Should we be continuing
Ah!
Bed Wars?
Yeah, you guys should
Oh.
run some 3v3s. I know Cool is on.
Oh, he just left.
Sad.
Cool Sneaker, get back here.
Is this as far as I can get up?
Literally.
No, it can't be.
Also, today I found out that you, Queen, and Cool have been dating for like 3 years, and I was like, wait. I thought you met in Scarlett's
No,
server.
No.
I was like, wait a minute.
Cool stole me away from my horrible ex 3 years ago.
Well, that's nice of him.
Elias did that.
I stole you, did I?
Oh, I'm
Okay.
glitching. I'm a
I
part
mean,
of the
I was
tree
gonna
now,
break up with him
apparently.
anyway, but then I met you and I expedited the
I
process.
can't leave.
No, tell the truth, I found you under a rock.
right. Okay.
I can't leave.
I was like, oh, cute little creature.
Captain is stuck. On this
The tree has me and it won't let go.
It was being really weird for me.
Let me get out of here.
Alright guys, thanks for playing with me. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Best of luck, Cap.
Thank you.
Now you're literally stuck behind glass. What the fuck are you doing?
It won't let me out.
Wait, how did you even get it?
You're on your own, man.
Oh,
You're on-
hey, I'm free. Freedom's never been so sweet. Watch me, I'm gonna do it again. Fucking grappling hook. I refuse.
It literally goes right back to the same spot they got fucking stuck in.
I'm good.
You're literally the mod's worst nightmare where they tell you not to do something and you're like, okay, I won't do it. And then you get stuck
Does it
and you
anyway.
did it.
I won't do it. I won't do it.
I won't do it, I promise.
I promise. I swear.
Pinky promise.
10 seconds later, hey, can you help me get out? And I did the thing.
Damn, how do I get any higher?
Alright, squad. I'll
Ah.
see y'all later.
Squad
Good night,
out.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night. Oh, Cap.
So,
Cap, you might have to leave the party.
when are we forming this coup against Scout?
This what now?
This coup.
Hmm.
Take over.
What do we
What are doing?
what do we think? When would be a good time to do it?
Right now, which one is
Right. Oh, right. Okay.
Gather up the army, we take over.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm dead serious, we're taking over.
Okay. Hostile takeover.
Okay, cool.
God damn it, I can't climb this tree.
You still having issues?
Mayhaps.
Where are you?
Oh,
What tree are you on?
yo mama.
Oh,
My grappling hook can't get me any higher either.
too many fucking trees.
Wait, is this a parkour course?
No. I've made it a parkour course. What if I... Okay, let me regroup and go down a little bit. That was a bad idea. I don't see any way to get up.
Which tree you're in?
Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Me. Oh! Okay, okay, okay. We're making moves, we're making
Wait,
moves.
how do you have a fishing hook in the thing?
It's the grappling hook.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I found you.
Hello. Nice feet.
Thanks.
Of course. It's rude not to compliment a person's feet.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
We're trying to get stuck a shit in the toilet without flushing. Wasn't me, where's fucking
One of
me?
yes.
Disgusting!
Okay, okay, okay. Oh! Let's go. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, 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 oh. Oh no. Oh no. I've made a mistake. Okay, we're okay. We're fine. Maybe not, actually. Hold on. The tree doesn't want to let go again. Shit. Damn it, I fell. Yeah.
You're making it at the top of this tree. I
I'm
believe
making
you.
it. Thank you. Ooh. Oh. Nope, nope, nope. Shit, I don't know if I could get to the tippy top. Queen just watching this happen. Oh, I keep glitching.
I can get to the tippy top.
Well, someone's a show off. You and your flying.
Because I spent like $18 on MVP Plus.
Oh, I think this is as far as I can get. I don't think I can grapple up there without falling. Well, I'll consider this a win. I'm really close. I'm not the star on the tree, but I'm like the star's cousin.
Oh, you need to get into it right now.
I don't know how.
Cap, I'm inviting you to a party that I can make you leader of.
Oh, hello.
Wait.
Fucking cool on my head.
riding you.
I can't see cool.
How cool to join? Is he? In the
He's not
server?
in this server, but I can invite him.
God damn it, I can't
Yeah,
get...
ask him. Yeah, invite him in so he can play with you.
Give me my grappling hook back. Give me... I run with a crew of problematic backsters, and we call ourselves the Squad.
Why is Queen looking down at you really ominously?
I'm just sitting here typing.
What, do you think I'm beneath you or something? You trying to make a point?
Actually.
You fucking what? I don't think I could get up there. Maybe if I was able to get onto the Bed Wars word and then grapple up, but I don't. Frenchiest of fries. Oh my god, my grappling hook won't work. Ah, no! No!
Dang. Oh, right. I'm gonna head off now, gang. So I'll see you all later on.
See ya.
Love you all.
Bye bye.
I-
Oh, I've fallen. My tree endeavors are over.
There, now you're the party leader, Cap.
Wow. Alright. Duck. All we need is another duck and then goose. Oh my god, guys, it's Dream.
Oh my god.
It's Dream in China. Knockoff. Wait, is that? No, no, no. Okay.
I got Mexican Dream. It's Chinese Dream.
Step aside, Mexican Dream. Chinese Dream's
Derpy
got the floor.
Technoblade.
Yeah, I thought that was Technoblade at first. I can't tell what he's actually supposed to be. It looks like he's supposed to be like a fucking shrimp. Oh, someone's got the
Gosh,
Goggy
it
glasses.
does. Goggles.
We've got everybody here. We've got we've got Chinese Dream, Derpy Techno, and knockoff Goggy.
I really like your skin, by the way. I
Thank
love
you.
It so much.
Thank you. Is that Ant? I can't remember if that's Ant's skin or not. Either way, he looks yellow instead. Where'd he go?
There's a chicken dude.
What? Oh my god! What a businessman.
Chicken spy.
Did he leave? Aw, he couldn't deal with the praise. He wasn't down with it. I love Cool holding the block.
Blastproof glass, so fucking expensive.
Blastproof glass is like top of the hill type shit.
I don't know about that.
It's 12 iron for 4.
No bridge. No bridge.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, cool.
Shit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I need 18 more blastproof glass.
I upped the gen, so hopefully it'll be easier.
I'm gonna get rid of yellow.
Then go get rid of yellow.
Oh, there's only one person.
Okay.
Okay, that works.
Bridge fixed. Someone's here.
No, 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 no! Do not break my fucking glass! Broke a piece of my glass. How fucking dare you?
Okay, I'm
You know how
going.
expensive that shit is?
I'm going.
You want to pay out of your pocket, bitch? I mean, he kind of did. I did get his money. Not nearly enough to cover the damages, though.
I just need a fast load of wool.
Chewed up. Damn. Cannibalism.
Hang on. There you go, he's dead.
Ding dong.
Ding dong, the wicked bitch is dead.
Ooh, free stuff. Come on, put it.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Scared me.
Got scared.
I was like, where are they? I whipped around so fucking quick.
See, as long as they don't know that there's a hole in the back, it'll be fine. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Oh, we got rid of yellow at least. Blue's not.
Fucking mind up, I got
Yeah.
it. Goddamn.
It seems like they're focused on each other.
Okay, I wouldn't think like that until you said something. You have 8 diamonds. And probably bought something else.
8 diamonds, sharpness. I've practically memorized the prices of the diamond upgrades.
I believe it.
Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Dankashay. Ooh.
Which is ladders? 4 iron. I'm gonna have one of those really annoying bed defenses. I just put shit everywhere. What if I got water buckets?
That would be amazing, honestly. That'd be very funny.
Oh,
Oh,
Lucho.
blue's gone.
you bugged.
That red thought he was on the phone. He was literally sitting here waiting at the emerald. On this.
I see at least one of the blues over there.
Why? Why all of that?
I said I was gonna do an annoying bed defense. Not my fault you didn't believe me.
Oh my.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make it so we don't get fucking water in our base. Sorry for being considerate.
Fuck.
I might be. Something for the hours. Oh, there's a red. Going for the red.
Fuck.
There's only two of each of them.
Do I still get water in our base? I still can't fucking water in our base. Oh no, it stopped right before the base. Okay, cool.
This block up you got going on.
It's great. Oh, the ladders are ruining it, actually.
We gotta swim out of our base to leave.
Oh my. What?
Oopsie.
Dude, this water's gonna knock us off before they do.
That's why I'm trying to contain it.
Oh my.
Look, it's a good idea in theory.
Maybe not in practice.
Oh,
I can use
you're
the
right.
ladders to... I'm smart.
I don't want to be the. See the last blue.
Okay, but
Ooh,
why are
get
these
'em.
water buckets not going all the way around?
There's still water in it. There's still water in it.
Well, water needs to move better.
It's Minecraft. What do you expect? What is this man doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Person? Oh, I didn't bring blocks. Whoops.
Oh, you need some wool.
Fine. I'm just gonna fix my level. Their defense is horrible. Wait, what?
Why? What they got going on over there?
What? Oh, I'm dead. Oh well.
Oh.
Their defense is like nothing. It's like,
I think I have enough emeralds for you to get diamond.
yes, I've done. I can't really kill him. I can blow their
Jesus, what is that fucking reach? I don't know where that red's going, but there's a red at mid with TNT.
onto their base. You know,
Oh, I am. I saw him.
got him.
Nice.
Just trying to make sure, you know.
Brush you can mess with it. Just, wow. Okay, Blue. You really want to stay alive? What are you doing? See, I don't know what he's doing. He's waterproofing his entire area over there.
What the fuck?
What the hell do you think I'm doing?
Oh, I see the water flowing down from their base.
What the heck?
Whoa, 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 whoa. We had a spy over here. I think I just chased off someone who was about to. Oh, la 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 la! They're still here.
Oh. Where is he? I fell off.
Yeah, he's gone with you. And I am now stranded at mid.
Let me get back into the base and I'll help you.
It's okay, I'm grabbing emeralds before I come back.
Just like trap.
Ooh, yes. Alright, I have enough for another one of us to get diamond.
Hey, Cap, I'm coming to save you.
Yay. I just don't want to make the jump with all the emeralds I've got. If I can make the jump. Knowing me, possibly not.
It's jumpable.
I don't want to chance it though.
It's a 3-block jump.
Grazie.
That's cutting it close. I'm getting there, okay?
Where you going, Red? Come here.
Blue has abducted that diamond gem.
Yeah, they have. They've done it. That's what they did to the end of the game.
What, Argent?
The other gen.
Oh, the one to the right?
One next to Blue. Yeah.
Wild. I was about to leave with no blocks again. Let's not repeat our mistakes.
Okay, I have more emeralds.
Nice.
What did I take?
I think just you, Queen, still have to get diamond.
Okay.
Someone can get a bow out. Someone could get bows if they wanted one.
Bye bye.
Adios, amigos.
See you soon.
Did they? Oh, they blew the. Oh, no, they didn't. Never mind. Can't see. They have traps.
Damn.
I noticed a spot that wasn't wet.
It's right. And they're doing stuff. They don't want to do. Just leave them to alone. They have easy access to blue. Just kind of trapped in his own base. Doing it. Aimed at right, because they're just now doing their building their base up.
That's wild. Some late game shit.
too.
Don't care, I'm going in.
Do you have diamond yet, Queen?
No.
I have emeralds for you.
Got one, got two. Got their bed.
Nice. Just us and those three.
Maybe there's enough for you to get a diamond sword. Oh wait, you're using an axe. Never mind. There's enough for a diamond sword. I don't trust myself with it.
Well, we just gotta kill him. Everything.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh.
Let's go.
I have a stone sword. Maybe I should get an iron one first.
Yeah, take the iron one I've got in the chest. We've got enough gold that we can always buy more when I get back, so. Because I am assuming I'm going to die.
What? I just threw out a stack of gold. We should have the alarm trap and everything, so we'll know if somebody tries to sneak in.
2 of them are at the base currently, so I don't think they're trying. But I don't know where the third is, so.
There's only one over here, and they're going to advance us. I can actually kill them without dying.
I see a red dude.
Get him.
I can aim!
Where is he?
No, I can't. I'm bad. I don't have... What's it called?
I'm going to kill one of them.
Blocks.
He's not paying attention either.
Get him.
Get him.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
Get
Where'd he
her
go?
done.
Where'd the other go?
They're not at their base.
No.
Oh, there's one coming to us!
I'll kill it. Let's kill him. So do we have any systems?
Fuck.
Oh, I can't open the chest so they can maybe never know.
Has emeralds.
Emeralds.
Is
Damn.
that you?
Yeah.
I see one of them.
There's one trying to get at us to the right.
There's one.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh, they just fell.
Nice.
Oh, they fell in the water.
Aw, motherfucker.
Oh, they're hiding in blue space. Okay,
I
I'm
can't.
going
Aim!
I think they're both over there actually, maybe.
Oh shit.
I don't
Yeah, I see them. They're both up there. One of them's going to mid. The other one's still climbing up the waterfall.
Mm.
Oh, okay, good. That's wide open then.
I come help, baby.
Huh?
Might just be a burden. I mean, what? Nothing. Sorry.
Never.
What?
Nothing.
Team
Don't worry
betrayal?
about
Yeah, we've
Team
secretly
betrayal.
teamed up. Oh, there's someone here.
Oh, do you have them?
They're invis. I don't know where they went.
They should have the alarm.
Did you rebuy it?
Probably did.
Oh shit.
How the hell did they just not get rid of all the water?
Sponge.
Got him.
I need...
I didn't fucking breathe for a second. I just held my breath and hoped that it would help.
Oh, he's right under me. Okay, there he is. That's where he's at.
Oh,
Ow, he's actually hitting me.
Did you? Did you swim right off?
oh, I missed the bridge.
Oh. Dude's coming this way.
Not the dudes.
The dudes. He's got more TNT. I knocked him back a little bit, but he's still alive.
Oh, I just accidentally bought another It's a Trap. Oops.
Well, at least we'll know in case he goes invis or something.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
I was making sure we had the alarm. We do have the alarm.
Oh, here you
Oh shit! Woo!
Fun.
go. Hello. I know. Oh,
Hey,
what the?
that's me. This is one of my victory things. Bums. Hey, yo, what is this map?
Shrek! Oh, Shrek. You don't look so good.
Looking Shrexy.
He's also a
Oh,
Mario.
he's derpy.
Yeah.
Greg, that's mega derpy.
Somebody can rush and get like 8 emeralds.
I wish.
Have obsidian.
Blue's coming.
Not blue.
Right side.
Okay, well, oh,
Yellow!
a land that. Really? Not everyone's from here? Almost killed you.
You can't hit me. Sorry.
What?
Sorry.
Out of nowhere.
I don't think so, Funny. I think it was just a
Not
family
Mario.
stream because we had
Fucking Riz God.
we had both of our parents and then we had Queen. So I think it was just a family
Riz
stream.
God.
Oh my lord! I know what that name was a reference to.
Yeah, Riz.
No, the name is. A
Oh,
reference
fuck.
To a movie.
Fucking Mario.
Cap, don't die. Cap, don't die.
I'm not chasing him.
He's looping around.
Yeah. God damn it.
He's waiting for me to come, but his teammate
Oh,
ran.
Shrek's coming too.
No! Not fucking
behind you.
Shrek. God damn it.
I'm gonna die.
Oh, there I go. I'm sorry, Funny. I wasn't sending out the invites.
Time to get
Go have a talk with Mom. Sentinel. Hatsune Miku?
Oh, it's the same now. But
Yeah, go take it up with Mom. Give her the old what for?
Charles Egg.
Egg. Aw, the Sentinel left. Kendall Craftiners.
I found a new girl.
Of course.
Oh, that's Hatsune Miku.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's concerning.
Vocal video gamer. You mean Vocaloid video
Very
gamer?
concerning at this point. Why does this person look
No, it's good. Why is their name just numbers?
who knows?
Oh gosh, it's bootleg. Sorry. Nope.
I've made friends.
Friendship. Yay.
Friendship! This means you're not gonna kick our asses, right?
Right?
Right? You're gonna leave us alone, right? They're so aggressive, I can't keep up. Yeah, from left field, it's cool, Sneaker. I didn't even know I hit him.
Oh, I stealing all the iron.
Hmm?
Don't you know I need this shit?
Don't you not need it too?
Skill issue.
Who has more kills?
Ratio.
That's what I thought.
Shut the fuck up.
Go fight. Didn't say something.
I am in bed defense. Excuse you.
Okay. I'll let you start with that.
Green's coming. Or at least
No.
watching us from the left.
Don't. Sorry.
No, don't do
I'm
that.
not gonna say that actually.
Don't come.
There are children in the chat.
Go to bed.
Sleep time.
I'm gonna take a nap here. Good night.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I need 24 more iron. And then I just spam wall.
Whoa.
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 Scooby Scooby son?
Hoobies.
Wait, jizz paper. I'm just ignoring the whole jizz paper.
Keep that in your drawer, shit.
Throw that shit away.
Throw it away.
That's nasty. I low-key thought somebody was coming for us, and then I realized we were blue.
Did you think it was me? Come in. Come in, come in, come in, come in. Fabulous. I get it.
Popular. You're gonna be
Popular.
I don't remember the rest of the words. It's been so many years.
I only know that bit.
Fair enough.
Whoops.
Okay.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsies. Whoopsie daisies.
Obsidian.
I need 8 iron so I can surround our bed in obsidian.
I think we've got iron in the chest, maybe.
I mean, not iron. Sorry. Emeralds.
Well, Red
Emeralds.
has all the emeralds, so. Red has all the emeralds. They have obsidian already.
I shook my head at them and they walked away. My intimidation tactics.
Glad we can come to an understanding.
Mm-hmm. My intimidation tactics working.
Popular. Know what I mean? Shit, now that's gonna be stuck in my head. God damn it.
Ah! My butt.
My booty.
Ooh, get fucked.
We could take out more than
I need emeralds.
We've got a little bit of a bridge to mid.
Oh, they won all that war over there.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Oh.
I
Oh
have
shit,
a
shit.
wooden sword and no armor. Should not be coming here.
I should
Whoa.
not be out here.
I watched the whole thing happen. I might.
Oh, why is green just staring at me?
Yeah, they've been doing that.
I am going to die.
Kill him. Kill him.
Both of us just watching.
Just kill him.
Got gangbanged.
Just fucking kill him. Just kill him sometime. Come on.
Shit. Hate when
Oh,
that
okay.
happens.
Well, yellow is going on all that war against red, so we have to worry about red. Or yellow for now.
Fuck. Just gonna casually slide in here and steal these diamonds. Thank you.
Shit.
Babe, I need you to go to mid. I need you to get me emeralds.
I've got 3.
Fuck.
I got a diamond.
Now I can get sharpness. Now we can stab people. Sharper.
But sharper.
We could stab people before, but now we can do it better.
Betterer. Remember, stick them with the pointy end.
Just imagine someone stabbing the handle into somebody else.
Their hand is bleeding from holding the fucking blade.
I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it.
Let me live my life,
I-
Mom.
I could be strong. I could be wrong.
I could be incorrect, but I have a feeling that that's not the way it's supposed to go.
How you're supposed to hold it.
Oh damn, yellow's really just nabbing all the emeralds over there.
There's green behind you.
Got him. Yeah, run away.
Yeah, get out of here, bitch.
Oh, hello.
She jumped off.
You scared of our pointy sticks?
I'm going over there. Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh well,
got one.
Ooh, woo.
kill him. I'm coming to help.
Oh, I'm already dead, so.
Oh my fucking
Oh.
god, he fucking dead.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
damn.
god.
Oh my goodness. They going ham.
I have to worry about yellow.
If we get one more diamond, we can up our gen.
We get one more diamond. We can upgrade our armor. Oh no.
Well, now yellow has most of the map.
Just sorry.
might do something really risky and I probably shouldn't, but
I have a singular emerald.
you better run with it. Come
I
up
have
with it.
two.
Well, be careful with the elephant. Oh, okay. Where the what? Do you have jump boost? Yes, jump boost. Are you kidding me?
Shit.
Oh no.
What was the point of that? That did not help you at all. Do not grab jump boost. Don't do it.
We have 5 emeralds.
Woo!
I need like
And they're coming back.
Wooby woo.
Oh, really? Kidding me?
4 emeralds for 4 obsidian.
Oh,
I need
someone's
like
here,
6
someone's here.
obsidian. How the fuck?
Got him.
How the fuck? What in the diddly fuck just happened here?
What in the diddly squat?
They do not do that.
Did you know that the French word for seal is fuck? I should you not?
Seals are my new favorite animal.
Like, if you have a group of seals, it's a clusterfuck. Sorry. I get too much Family Guy on my fucking Instagram.
Oops.
It's a problem.
Totally not my fault. Are they coming back here again?
They're just so interested in us. Why are you so
God.
obsessed with me?
I'm gonna try.
We're just that good
someone's
looking.
going up.
Yeah, it's the guy at mid.
Good lord, how? What?
Okay, so there's a guy at red, guy at mid, guy at green. I'm assuming the last.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a guy over at their base. Cool.
Need to go here and here.
Someone's coming.
No, they're not.
God.
Oh! Why are we missing half our. What the fuck?
They threw fireballs at us at some point.
Oh
Someone's
shit,
here.
shit, shit.
What? Where? Oh, he's
Ah!
invisible. It's TNT. Where is he?
Blaster of glass, bitch. Get on there.
Oh. Where is he? Where'd he go?
He hasn't broken the glass yet.
Yeah, I'd say just keep an eye out and keep. Oh, found him. Got him.
Fuck him up.
It was fucking Hooby Scoobyson.
Not. Can't believe it was Hooby Scooberson all along.
And to think he had a place in my heart.
Might, place some more glass outside of that too.
That's so fucking expensive. I mean, I should. But
They're gonna keep trying to blow it up.
I know. If I can get some obsidian.
If we get to 12 diamonds, we can get the emerald
Wait a
gen.
Wait a minute. I have diamonds. I wrote back 5. You have 14 now.
Hug.
Oh, they have 2 ways to get to us now.
Yeah. Alright,
You know.
we got emeralds. One over at red. One to the left, going to green.
The other two shows I wasn't allowed to watch as a child.
Hey. Oh, he's right here.
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
Did he
Left,
die?
left, left, left. Up top.
Above.
He's down.
Okay, I got him.
Circling.
Cutting him off.
Nice.
You motherfucker. Ruined my beautiful bed defense. Like a piece of shit.
Nice aim this right, please. I did. Okay, good. Keep sneaking around. Even sure they probably have every trap over there. But I'm gonna one over there anyway. Oh, never mind. I have even more diamonds.
Hell yeah.
I need max. That's I'm breaking in, by the way.
What's going on in here?
Hmm?
What's going on in here?
Obsidian.
Smart.
Ooh. That's not much better than something.
I need some more blast-proof glass, actually.
I'm gonna try the 1v.
Good luck, have fun. Emphasis on the luck.
Do you want me to go at him from the right?
I'm gonna do. I'm gonna die here. I know I am, but I'm gonna try. I can't see. What if someone's not there? I put all my stuff in the chest.
Some solid bed defense. It's like 6 layers.
I don't know if I'm gonna win this.
See, there's this thing. Ay, coño.
I see ya.
¿Dónde?
Ah! He ran.
Motherfucker, you stupid bitch.
This one jump boost.
Don't you know? That blast-proof
okay.
glass can't be blown up. You idiots. Why can you reach me so far?
That's what I want to know. Okay, well,
Damn it.
I swear they're fucking hacking. They're fucking hacking.
got one. Oh, what do you... Jump boost. What's the point of that?
You know what? I'm just gonna ignore the last layer of wood. Just gonna fucking.
Let me get my toast.
Got enough emeralds for someone to get diamond.
Are you kidding me?
Hold on. I'm about to fucking kill Hooby Scooterson.
As you should, honestly.
Oh, what is that knockback?
Exactly, they have such high knockback.
They're fucking hacking. I swear. Yeah, there's enough emeralds if you want to get diamond.
I've got it.
Diamond. Oh, I have a fucking wooden sword. That's not good. Best known by now.
Oops, the line. Probably because the stores give so much knockback.
Got dragon buff, just in case.
Yes, I've got to do incubation.
Well, after the emerald gen, it's bed's destroyed timer. It's 20 diamonds for Prot 3. We currently have 9.
Hmm.
If we do wait until dragons, then we're gonna need those.
Those and endstone.
They can still break in stone.
Prot tree. Well, then we should focus on using our emeralds for bows.
We're only seeing
With the
those
Good
for them,
bows.
but for us, for our sake of the dragons. Because if the dragons fly towards it, we can use a bow to knock them off the path and go somewhere else. I want to kill them so badly.
Yep. We have so many emeralds. Head gone in 5:30.
Someone's coming to the base. They're invisible. Someone's invisible.
¿Dónde? Oh!
Where'd he go? That's one behind us too. No. Get out of here. Oh, why do you do so much damage?
Fucking hell.
Get out of here.
These scoopers.
There's a guy to the left. Up top, up top.
What? Oh.
By the way, that bow in there is an emerald bow. Power and punch.
Damn.
I get some arrows for it.
Keep trying to ruin it. Because you're not being smart about it. Because we won't come over there. Your base defense is so horrible. You just can't get over it. Now there's a
Both more diamonds, and then we have prop 4. That's gone in 249. I can get his prop 4.
Go for it.
But honestly, that's probably what they have.
Or, you know, hacks. Sorry.
They're putting glass.
Or both.
Let's fucking go, my dude.
Hell yeah, brother.
I thought dragons couldn't break. Wait, I thought dragons couldn't break endstone.
They can.
Sorcery is this?
That's the main reason why I had to use a bow that time.
They
that
are
was,
just surrounding themselves in iron. I mean, in obsidian. But it doesn't
Yeah.
matter because the beds are gonna be gone in a minute.
They're just wasting resources at this point.
Could be buying a surplus of wood
So
bows.
that time when I was when I had to carry you and Ray at the end.
Get out of here.
How original. Like, I totally didn't do that design.
Can I have a bus? Come here. Let me fuck you up. Sorry.
Let's go.
Oh no, he didn't die.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
You have knockback resistance
No.
or some shit?
Oh.
Got 2.
It's on 15 HP.
I can't. Oh, I jumped over that one.
Yeah, that was pretty sick, honestly. Not gonna lie.
Okay, you know what? I know what to do. I like hiding. I like hiding. I don't like hiding. I don't like hiding. So I got something to do.
I'm trying so damn hard.
I can't shoot this bow. I'm not used to using a bow.
Ooh.
Trying to get him as he jumps. Give him a fireballs. Fireball.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Got one. They took no damage. Need to break that bridge.
Hold on, my parents are trying to make an announcement. Bro, just fucking die. We've just spent the last 10 minutes trying to fucking kill them.
Oh, one of them's on 18. Okay, one of them's on 18. Oh, not there. Whoops.
We just need to go in there.
We will die. I'm telling you, we will die. I guarantee you, we will die.
I
We will not
have. Ow. I have a knockback stick.
One of them fell.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. Where is it? Maybe.
Hmm?
Take this.